everybody, it's Miss Angela. I'm back with another Sunday Crafternoon. This week we are going to be making a t-shirt tote bag. I am just remembering to tell you where I'm from. I'm an East Regional programmer with children's programming. So feel free to come see us now that we're open. Just make sure we're going to be safe. So we have our bag that we're going to make. I'm going to show you a little bit of modification on the top for what we can do, but we're going to go ahead and get started. You're going to need a t-shirt. I know a lot of us used our stay-at-home time to organize and clean out stuff. So if you have a cute t-shirt that you want to use, I know some people have maybe a favorite character, but it's one that got worn out. I know I have some shirts that are super cute, but I wore out the armpit, so it has a little hole that I'm like, oh, well, this is perfect because I can just cut off that part and use it for my tote bag. That may be something that I choose to do. So we have the shirt that we're going to make into a bag. So you need a t-shirt. You're going to need scissors. If you have cloth scissors, that may be a good option. You are going to need tougher scissors than like a kid's pair of scissors for school, just because you're going to be cutting both sides of the cloth at the same time. A permanent marker and a ruler, because you're going to need to decide how deep you want your bag to be. So we're going to start out. The first thing we're going to do is shake out the shirt, line up the top. You're going to line up the top of the shirt and the arms. I'm going to lay it like this so I can see it where I'm going to cut. Make sure everything is lined up at the top. And then if you want to have a straighter line, you can just cut straight along where the seam is. If you want it to be a little bit curvier, which is what I'm going to do with this one, so if you cut straighter along the edge, this is pretty much what it's going to end up looking like. It's not super, super curvy, but it's just a little bit of the shape. If you want to, so now that you have this all lined up, some people do like to have, to cut it, the two sides separately. If you do that, I would say cut the one side and then use the sleeve that you cut to line it up with the other one. But I'm going to just go ahead and cut both at the same time so they're exactly the same. So for this one, if you want to, I'm going to kind of draw a line for this one. You can draw it out how you want to do it. So I drew the line that I'm going to follow, and I'm going to follow the outside of the color, so I cut off the marker. A little bit better. I don't know if that was, there we go. All right, so that's going to add just a little bit more curve. Getting through that first layer up at the top where it has the seam for the shoulder is a little bit tough. So if it's a child or a teenager that's working on it, they may need a little bit of help. But in general, most of it should be able to be done. Alright, so that's the part of the shirt that I cut out. So it's got a little bit of a curve. And then you're going to cut around the collar. So you can also, and I'm going to show you on this one, the way that you can make your opening for the top of your bag wider is by making the cut into your collar a little bit deeper. So Now you want to make sure if you have any print or anything that you want to keep, that you do that. You can make it more of a circle shape, you can make it more of an oval shape, depending upon your pattern. Since I had some words, I needed to make sure that it didn't go past that. So I'm going to start at the part that's a little bit tougher to cut. Well, actually, no. We're going to go through all the layers of the shirt. Now this one you pretty much do have to do all of the pieces at the same time, just so that the loop on your bag for the arms of your bag and the straps of your bag become the same curve. All right, so I made it pretty much as deep as I could make it for this one because of where the print on the shirt starts. And I could have made it a little bit, the straps a little bit thinner by going a little bit farther into the sleeve of the shirt, but this is gonna work just fine. So you can put your pieces off to the side. Now you get to decide how deep you want your bag to be. So you're going to make sure, I'm going to lay it out. Make sure everything at the bottom is lined up. Okay. And then I'm going to look at my ruler. And I think I want mine to be about the 4-inch is where I want to have my line to make my bag a little bit of a deeper bag. I like to go to the library and get books. Alright, so I do that a couple of times on the shirt. I thought it was close enough, but it was not. And then you're just going to draw the line across for lining up. That's going to be the line that you're going to cut your strips to. And I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. Okay, and the line doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because you're going to be cutting around that line anyway. And then this part is actually going to be folded over into your shirt. Well, into the bag is what I mean. Alright, so that just lets me know how far up into the shirt that I want to cut. And then we're going to make the strips that are going to make the bottom. So if you want, you can make them about 1/2 inch. Is pretty standard. I'm going to make mine just a little bit wider. Let's see. And this doesn't necessarily have to be perfect because they're going to be tied up on the inside anyway and nobody's going to see it. Now, an option that you do have for these would be to maybe even use the fringe on the outside. The pieces that you tied, use that as like a decoration on the shirt. Is an option. That's not what we're going to be doing today though. Don't forget we have our summer reading program that is still going strong. Read your 360 minutes and you're entered for great prizes for each age group. So now then what you're going to do is I'm going to start by cutting up the middle of the shirt to the line. So it's going to separate like that. That's going to make your first strips. I'm going to do that on both sides, because those are going to make the corner of your bag. So then you're going to cut both at the same time, so both sides of the shirt are coming up to the same spot. Now these on the inside, you can make as wide or as thin as you want. The thinner that you make them, the more you're gonna have to tie. So you're going to make the cut up to the line that we drew, so that the bag is pretty much going to be uniformly the same size across. So I'm going to work some library magic. I'm going to be right back with you once all of these are cut. So we are back, and all of our tabs that we're going to use to make the bottom of our bag are cut. So some people, depending upon what you want to hold, want their bag to be a little bit more structured at the bottom. So depending upon what you want to hold, because I know some people like go to the farmer's market and they try to get smaller things like peas or whatever, that you don't want that to fall out of the bag. So those would be a good time to do the thinner strips. Mine are pretty thick, because I wasn't planning on doing anything quite like that with this bag. So then what you're going to do is you're going to tie your, oh, I skipped an important step, real life. So we are going to now flip the shirt inside out. If you wanted to have the fringe at the bottom, that's how you would do it. You would just leave the shirt outside with the print on the outside and go from there. Things happen, man. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing. You're going to use your 2 strips at the end. You're going to tie it twice, and it's going to make a little knot, and then that part is going to go on the inside of your bag. Now for those of you who want one that does a little bit doesn't have as big of a gap in between, what you can do is, once you've tied all of your pieces together, you're going to take the 2 pieces from the inside between your 2 knots. You're going to then tie those together the same way that you tied the other 2. And so it's going to have like the 2 ties on the like layered together, so that when you put it together, it's not going to have those holes for stuff to fall through. All right, so we're going to go ahead and finish tying these up, and I'll show you what it looks like once we're back. All right, so we are back, and all of our ties have been tied, and I guess I'll call it cross tying or double tied. So you can kind of see, I'm going to flip it back inside now that we're all, because that's all you're going to do. It's sewless. Now the shirt is going to stretch out as you use it if you use heavy items in it, like books or like vegetables or anything like that. If you look at the bottom, you can kind of see where you have all the little ties, which actually looks kind of cool depending upon what you want to do. But you shouldn't see too many gaps, or the gaps shouldn't allow a bunch of stuff to fall through depending upon what you're doing. And that is our bag for Sunday Crafternoon. If you want to show us your pictures, feel free to put them in the comments for the bags that you made. I bet there are some super cute patterns out there with shirts that you can make. If you try to do it with the fringe on the outside of the shirt rather than the inside of the shirt, that would be a fun thing to do too. So we look forward to seeing your stuff. Have a good afternoon. Bye.